Picture a manufacturing plant on a cold Tuesday morning. The sun isn't even up yet. You have these harsh fluorescent lights humming overhead, reflecting off endless stretches of gray concrete floors.
Oh, yeah, such a bleak image.
Right. And workers in Navy uniforms are filtering in, just making their way to the production lines. The air smells like machine oil and cold steel.
A very standard, very loud environment.
Exactly. But right there, kneeling near the employee break room at 6:17 a.m., is a man named Marcus Bennett. And he is terrified.
Because of who he has with him.
Yes. He's looking into the eyes of his 7-year-old daughter, Nia. He gives her one strict instruction, and his voice is just tight with fear. He tells her that whatever happens today, she must not let anyone see what is inside the battered blue pin box she is clutching to her chest.
It's an incredibly tense scene. I mean, a heavy manufacturing plant is a loud, dangerous place.
Yeah.
It is absolutely no place for a child.
Definitely not.
And the fact that she is clutching this little tin box, its corners are dented, the paint is scratched down to the silver along the edges, it creates this immediate, visceral mystery.
You just have to know what's in there.
Right. The stakes are instantly high, not just because of fundamental company safety rules being broken, but because of the sheer desperation it takes for a parent to risk everything by bringing their child into that kind of environment.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are setting out on a deeply intimate storytelling journey today, tailored specifically for you, the listener. Our mission is to explore a powerful real-life event that unfolded at Whitmore Components in Fort Worth, Texas.
And we have some great material for this.
We really do. We're pulling from a fascinating stack of sources, an in-depth HR management case study, corporate policy archives, and some incredible qualitative interviews detailing the event.
It's a very comprehensive look at what happened.
It is. It is a story about the impossible choices hardworking people face, the fierce love of a child, and the unexpected ways that vulnerability can fundamentally change a community. Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand Marcus's state of mind, we have to look at the timeline.
We have to go back.
Yeah, according to the case study, we have to go back just 1 hour before that moment in the break room to where his entire morning just unraveled.
Right, because crises like this, they rarely start with a massive, dramatic explosion.
No, they don't.
From an organizational behavior standpoint, they usually start with a tiny, quiet fracture in a very, very fragile system.
And that fracture happened at exactly 5:12 a.m. Marcus is in his kitchen. He's packing Nia's school lunch when the phone rings.
The dreaded early morning phone call.
It is Mrs. Parker,
Yeah.
the woman who watches Nia before school. She became violently ill overnight. She just can't take her. Marcus hangs up and just stares at the kitchen clock. I mean, I can only imagine the sheer panic setting in at that moment.
And this is where they have to look at the mechanics of hourly labor in modern manufacturing. Many of these facilities, they operate on what's called just-in-time staffing.
Which sounds efficient on paper.
Oh, totally. It's a lean manufacturing principle meant to eliminate waste, meaning they only schedule the exact number of bodies needed to hit production quotas. But when you apply just-in-time logic to human beings, it leaves zero buffer for life's realities.
Right. It's like walking a tightrope without a safety net.
Exactly. For a lot of working parents, their daily routine is essentially a machine running with no lubrication. If one gear slips, like a reliable babysitter getting the flu, the entire engine seizes up.
I was reading through the labor economics articles we gathered, and it's just staggering. I always thought, well, why couldn't he just call out sick? But it's not that simple, is it?
Not at all. Most hourly manufacturing jobs utilize a strict points-based attendance system.
Right, the points.
Yeah. You get a point for a late arrival, a point for an unexcused absence, accumulate too many, and you are automatically terminated.
Wow. No exceptions.
Furthermore, the financial reality for Marcus was incredibly precarious. The case study notes that the previous month had been relentlessly expensive. His truck needed critical repairs just so he could commute.
Oh, man.
And his daughter had outgrown her school shoes. Missing this shift didn't just mean losing a day's pay. It meant losing hours he absolutely could not replace, putting his family deep in the red.
And on top of that, he works on line 4, which was under immense pressure to meet a major production deadline. The HR notes show he was basically caught in a vice grip.
A completely impossible situation.
So Nia comes into the doorway wearing her purple backpack. She senses the tension and asks, will you lose your job if you stay with me?
Kids always pick up on that stuff.
They really do. Marcus tries to brush it off as grown-up stuff, but children are incredibly perceptive. She goes back to her room and quietly slips that battered blue tin box into her backpack. He doesn't even notice until they are pulling into the factory parking lot.
Which brings us to the moment of the impossible choice. It is a dilemma so incredibly common for dependable workers, yet so rarely discussed in boardrooms.
It's completely invisible to upper management.
It is. Our corporate systems often lack the flexibility to support the very people who hold them together. Facing immediate financial ruin or an attendance strike, Marcus makes a desperate calculation.
And he decides to bring her inside.
Yes, strictly temporarily. He leaves her with a trusted coworker, Rosa Martinez, who hasn't clocked in yet. He's thinking he can hide Nia near the break room just long enough to find an emergency contact to pick her up.
It's the shadow safety net.
Yeah.
Workers just covering for each other when the official system fails.
That is exactly what it is.
But that shadow net breaks almost immediately.
Yeah.
Rosa gets called away to the production line because they are short-staffed. She tells the supervisor she can't leave Nia alone.
And right at that moment, the absolute worst-case scenario materializes.
It really does. Claire Whitmore, the chief executive officer of the entire company, happens to be walking down the main corridor. She had arrived hours earlier than expected to deal with a supplier issue.
Talk about bad timing. It is the ultimate collision of worlds. You have the highest level of corporate authority unexpectedly crossing paths with the most vulnerable, hidden reality of the factory floor.
According to the interviews, Claire stops dead in her tracks. She sees this 7-year-old girl in a hard hat area.
Which is a huge safety violation.
Massive.
Yeah.
So she speaks to her gently, asks if she's waiting for someone. Nia says her daddy works there and mentions Marcus's name. But when Claire's eyes drop to the battered blue box, Nia immediately moves it behind her back.
Protecting the secret.
Yeah. Claire asks what she has, and Nia refuses to say. She looks toward the factory doors and says, "Daddy said nobody can see it."
Imagine the tension in that hallway. I mean, Marcus is out on the floor, tightening components, completely unaware that his secret is unraveling in front of the CEO.
He has no idea.
And what's fascinating here is the psychological shift that is about to happen in this narrative. The CEO doesn't just call security. She recognizes that this isn't merely an HR violation.
She sees something else.
Yeah, she sees it as a profound mystery about human dignity and what drives an employee to this level of risk.
So the supervisor radios Derek Collins, who oversees Marcus. Derek pulls Marcus off the line. Marcus knows immediately.
He knows it's over.
He takes off his work gloves, follows Derek, and prepares to accept whatever consequence is coming. When he sees Claire, the plant manager, and his daughter, he immediately steps up and says, "This is on me." He doesn't make excuses. He just wants to shield his daughter.
That protective instinct is so strong. And Nia asks if she is in trouble. Marcus says no. Then she asks if he is in trouble.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
The case study actually mentions that Marcus hesitates for just half a second before answering, but that tiny hesitation is all it takes for Nia to tighten her grip on the box.
She knew.
She knew. And Claire, being incredibly observant, notices this behavioral shift. She asks if the box is Nia's.
Marcus says yes. Nia says no. Marcus tries to dismiss it as an old family thing, pleading with the CEO to leave the box out of it, saying it's personal.
But Nia won't let it go.
Right. Nia looks at her dad and says, "But Daddy, maybe she can help." As Nia shifts the box, the loose latch clicks. The lid opens barely an inch.
The big reveal.
Claire catches a glimpse of folded dollar bills and loose coins. And she asks quietly, "Marcus, what exactly has your daughter been saving for you?"
The interviews with the supervisor note that the fear on Marcus's face fundamentally shifted in that moment. It was no longer the fear of a written warning or losing a day's pay.
It was something much deeper.
It was the deep, agonizing fear of something intensely private, his struggle to provide, becoming visible to his boss and his peers.
The factory is still humming in the background, but in that circle, there is just dead silence broken only by the faint rattle of coins. Nia slowly lifts the lid.
And what's inside?
Inside is less than $20. Singles, quarters, nickels, pennies. And wrapped around some of those coins are tiny pieces of paper with childish handwriting that read, "Daddy lunch."
I mean, it is just a staggering piece of evidence. Nia had noticed that on weeks when money was tight, when those truck repairs and daily expenses collided, Marcus was skipping his own meals.
Wow. He was going hungry so she wouldn't.
Exactly. If there was only enough food for one lunch, it went into Nia's purple backpack. He would drink company coffee, eat something small, and tell everyone he had already eaten.
That's just so sad.
It is, and it highlights a deeply uncomfortable labor statistic. Food insecurity doesn't just affect the unemployed. It heavily impacts fully employed hourly workers who are stretched too thin by inflexible systems.
Marcus tries to deny it. saying she misunderstood that he eats. But Nia just says, not always, and she adds, sometimes his stomach makes noises.
She's totally outing him, but out of love.
Yes. The CEO realizes this little girl has been secretly hoarding pennies to feed her father.
But the genius of this child's logic goes even deeper than the money.
Oh, the money was just the start.
Right. The money was one tool, Nia had another. She tells Claire that the money isn't the only reason she brought the box. She moves the folded bills aside to reveal a second layer.
Marcus completely panics here. He puts his hand over hers to stop her, but eventually the box slips. It hits the tile floor, coins roll everywhere, and from beneath the paper, something metallic slides out and stops face up on the floor.
The real treasure.
It is an old, scratched employee badge with a faded Whitmore Components logo. The name on it is Samuel Bennett.
Marcus's father. The case records show Claire actually recognized the name. Samuel Bennett had worked at that exact Fort Worth plant for 32 years.
32 years in one place.
Yeah, and he wasn't an executive. He just stayed, worked hard, and built a life around that place. This introduces a fascinating generational contrast.
How so?
Well, Samuel worked during an era where manufacturing jobs offered robust pensions and stability. Marcus is working in the modern era of lean labor, where despite having the exact same work ethic, he is one sick babysitter away from financial ruin.
That is such a stark difference. So Nia explains why she brought it. She says, Daddy keeps it because Grandpa said something important. Marcus then shares the lesson his father passed down. He said a job doesn't make a man valuable. The way he does it, does.
There is immense dignity in that philosophy. And look at how Nia applied it. She reasoned that if her father got in trouble for bringing her, her grandfather's 32-year legacy could prove that her father belonged there, that he was a safe investment.
She really thought it through.
She used her money to feed him and her family history to shield him from authority.
It is absolutely incredible. But Marcus refuses to use this emotional moment to escape the rules. He tells Derek, his supervisor, to handle the policy violation just as he would for anyone else. Now, I fully expected the CEO to just fire him right there. That's usually how these strict compliance stories end.
Often, yes. But this is where leadership diverges from mere management. Claire watches him refuse to use sympathy as a shield. Instead of terminating him on the spot for the safety violation, she turns to Derek and asks him to pull Marcus's 6-year attendance and performance record.
She wants the full picture.
She wants data. She wants to know the full context of a human being before judging the singular bad decision of the morning. She is evaluating his overall value against the cost of his infraction.
So Derek pulls up the HR tablet. The record is flawless. 6 years, almost no unscheduled absences. Multiple notes of him volunteering for overtime when production was behind.
A model employee.
Completely. He trained newer employees without even having a leadership title. He had safety commendations. Derek admits Marcus is one of the most dependable people on the floor.
And this raises a critical, incredibly challenging question for you, our listener, to consider in your own life. Why is it that the most dependable people, the ones who will rearrange their entire schedules to help everyone else, are often the most terrified to ask for help when they are the ones drowning?
Rosa even points this out. She speaks up and says Marcus has covered for her when her mother had medical appointments, and he stayed late for another guy whose car broke down.
He was the safety net for everyone else.
Yeah. Claire pushes Marcus on this. She asks why it's acceptable for him to help everyone else, but unacceptable for him to need help just once.
Marcus's answer reveals his core belief, and it is a belief many working-class individuals share. He says he came there to work, not to make his problems everyone else's responsibility.
You wanted to keep it separate.
Completely segregated. Work, money, family, need all kept apart. He believed professionalism meant invisibility of personal struggle. But the blue box shattered those walls.
It did. Now, Claire doesn't let him off the hook for the safety violation. She makes it clear that a child in a factory is profoundly dangerous.
Which is fair. It's a huge liability.
But then she does something rare in corporate America. She turns a disciplinary moment into a systemic revelation. She asks Derek what the company could have actually offered Marcus at 5:30 that morning.
And the HR audit reveals the answers were bleak. Paid time off, only if he had it accrued, and he didn't have much.
Emergency childcare.
No, rapid shift exchange. Not without a 48-hour approval process. The system offered zero flexibility for an immediate real-life emergency.
So Claire turns to the other factory workers standing around watching this happen. She asks them the simple question. She says, Has anyone else here ever faced a morning when childcare failed and missing work felt like an impossible financial risk you could not afford?
Imagine the silence on that floor.
You could probably hear a pin drop.
Then, slowly, Rosa raises her hand. Then a worker near the entrance. Then a woman from packaging. In total, 6 hands go up.
Wow.
6 highly dependable employees quietly admitting they had stood on that exact same precipice.
It is a stunning visual. One man's isolated, seemingly terrible decision suddenly transforms into a larger organizational blind spot.
Exactly. It fundamentally shifts the blame. Yes, Marcus broke a rule, but management now had to answer for why so many good employees felt that their only choices were losing essential pay, risking their jobs, or trying to solve a catastrophic problem entirely in the dark.
If your system forces your best workers into unsafe decisions, the system is broken.
Right.
So let's look at the ripple effect here. What actually changed? First, Marcus was not fired, but he did receive a formal written warning for the safety violation. He accepted it without complaint,
And the rules still mattered.
which I think is an important objective detail. This wasn't a fairy tale, it was a business.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the magic here is that the company didn't just sweep this under the rug with a warning. They dug into their own data.
They actually investigated.
Human Resources interviewed employees across all 3 shifts. They found that family care emergencies were repeatedly the hidden root cause behind last-minute absences, safety errors from fatigue, and high resignation rates.
So 3 weeks later, the Fort Worth plant launches a 6-month emergency family support pilot program. And they didn't just throw money at it or promise a free daycare center that would never get built.
No, they made practical changes.
Very practical, mechanical changes. They created a rapid shift exchange board. Supervisors were given the authority to approve short notice adjustments without corporate sign-off. They created a verified list of subsidized local emergency care resources.
And most crucially, they changed the culture of reporting. Employees could finally report a temporary care emergency without the fear that the act of asking for help would automatically trigger an attendance point or be held against them during performance reviews.
When this pilot program was announced, people naturally looked at Marcus. But he deflected, saying he didn't write the policy.
Very humble of him.
Rosa smiled and said, "No, your daughter just asked the question, nobody else did." Life didn't magically become easy for Marcus overnight. He still had to watch his budget carefully. But what changed was that a difficult morning didn't have to become a career-ending crisis before he could admit there was a problem.
And Marcus's own trajectory changed, not out of pity, but out of visibility. The spotlight that fell on him exposed his stellar 6-year record to the upper management.
They finally saw what he was doing.
Over the next 5 months, they gave him formal responsibilities that matched the informal leadership he was already providing on the floor.
When a line lead position opened up, Marcus interviewed for it and earned the promotion based purely on his merit, his safety record, and his experience. He gets a new badge, he shows it to Nia at home, and she wants to put it in the blue box with Grandpa's.
Full circle.
But Marcus says he needs to wear it. Nia puts Grandpa's badge back in the box, and Marcus notices one folded dollar bill still inside. He asks what it's for, and she says, "An emergency. You will see."
Which brings us to the incredible resolution of this case study 6 weeks later during the company's annual Family Day.
I love this part.
The factory is shut down for maintenance, all the heavy machinery is locked out, it's totally safe for visitors, and Nia walks through the front doors. Not hiding, but proudly walking beside her father, carrying that blue tin box.
She sets the box on a table near line 4, right where Claire, the CEO, is standing. Nia opens it. Inside is Grandpa's badge, that single folded dollar, and a white envelope.
And the note?
Yes, on the envelope, in Nia's uneven handwriting, it says, "For another dad who needs one bad day to not become the worst day."
It is such a profound statement from a child. She tells them that since her dad promised to eat his lunch now, maybe somebody else needs the help more.
Marcus tries to say $1 can't fix a bad day, but Nia says, then other people can put dollars with it. And right there, Rosa drops in $1.
It's contagious.
Derek adds one. A worker from packaging drops in 5. By the end of the day, there is nearly $100 in the box.
Now, obviously, $100 doesn't solve systemic wage issues, but it wasn't about the amount of money, it was the catalyst.
It started something bigger.
It functioned mechanically as a proof of concept, sparking an official, employee-supported voluntary assistance fund. And Marcus made sure of one critical ethical guideline for the fund. Anyone receiving help would be treated with total dignity. They didn't have to owe the company a tragic, tearful story just to get temporary support.
That is so important. Later on, Nia looks at the old box resting on a shelf in the resource room, and she looks at her dad's new line lead badge. She asks if Grandpa kept him safe that day.
And Marcus's response is just perfect.
He smiles and gives her the ultimate piece of advice. He says, I think he reminded me of something, that asking for help does not mean you stop standing on your own 2 feet.
That is the enduring lesson here. Marcus spent years believing that being strong meant hiding the heavy things he carried. His daughter showed him that true strength requires the courage to let your community catch you when your safety net breaks.
So what does this all mean? It means that isolation isn't a requirement for resilience. Marcus, Nia, and a scratched-up blue tin box managed to change the culture of an entire manufacturing plant just by forcing the invisible struggles of the workforce to become visible to the people in charge.
It's a powerful reminder.
It really is. As you go about the rest of your day, I want you to consider a final thought. What invisible blue box are you currently carrying, filled with burdens you're too proud to share? And how might your own life and the lives around you transform if you finally allowed yourself to open it?